if you move the ball forward, it's a positive thing. And then you can't become one dimensional. And I don't think they were. I think they traded concerted effort in order to try to get the ball into there.
Chris, welcome into a Tuesday edition of the show, man. How you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm doing well. First off, happy birthday to all those guys. And second off, I was on me from yesterday. I apologize. I got to stand up in front of it. I got to take accountability.
Accountability, yeah.
Nick Sirianni on it. Chris, not a worry in the world, brother. No
as long as you don't spit on me, I'm good. I'm good, Chris.
Say that. Spit through zone.
I get Travis Kelce actually hurt Xavier Worthy, so I guess Travis Kelce is okay. He just hurt one of his teammates, but anyway, just wanted to clarify that. We'll get to the Chiefs in a little bit. When it comes to Jaylen Carter, since we started there, it looks like he's not going to get suspended. Certainly will face a pretty significant fine. Do you think the Eagles have to do anything in-house, Chris, or is it just like, we got one of our best players, let's let him go?
No, I think they tacked on their own personal fine, I think internally, and they figured like it's going to be the fine when it comes down to the league punishment, because when you look at it, it essentially he was suspended for the first week of the game because he didn't play a snap. So even though he got that game check, though, I think both.
Yeah, he got the game check, so they got to take the game check away. But that's how I think it's going to happen. But you're right; it served as a de facto suspension. So from that standpoint, I think we'll be behind that at least somewhat quickly until the next incident. Hopefully, he learns from it, and there isn't a next incident. But defense as a whole started out struggling a little bit. I think, Vic sort of made that little tweak, putting Campbell down, turning the 4-man fronts into 5-man fronts, and they started to get better. What'd you think of their performance as a whole?
I thought overall, if I had to give a grade, I think it was like C-ish, depending on it, because mainly it was the second, the CB2 part. It was Adoree Jackson and Ja'Cory Bennett. Then you threw in Cooper for a couple of plays, but then you had to go back to Jackson and Bennett. It just, to me, it highlighted the issues that this team had, and then also to sustain pass rush. You had times where you had Jalen Hunt really going around the edge and almost causing fumbles and strikes. You had Nolan Smith getting there, and he had Jordan Davis, who had Dak in the grass when they fell off. Like, they were getting hurries and pressure, but we all know why hurries were invented when it came to Mike Mamula, because he got so close but never got sacks. They had to do something. So they needed more hits, they needed more sacks in terms of that. So I think it gets better. I think it's overall week one's up. I think the addition of Zadarius Smith helps out with that as well too.
Yeah, they got a sack guy now. Zadarius is broke now. He's 33, but he played pretty well last year. At least from the standpoint of piling up sacks. I mean, this is a guy who knows how to get home. Does he walk into the NovaCare complex? He's already done that, but he'll be on the practice field Wednesday. Is he the best pass rusher on this team, Chris Franklin? Edge rusher. I don't want to bring in Jaylen Carter into the conversation. Just on the edge.
Zach Vaughn, too. I thought I was going to throw Zach Vaughn just from the middle, too. Sad. But off the edge, you could probably make a compelling case that he is. Because I'm looking, when you think about Nolan, he still has some stuff. Nolan and Jalen are still young. They still have stuff that need to be refined. Uche, he's all right, too. And if I'm Zadarius Smith, I'm walking by, just looking to give a slide, look at Azeez Ojulari and just going, what's up, buddy? And walking by and going to the locker room, which we all know. If you had to take your pick.
That Nick Sirianni doesn't know. That guy's going to win us football games, Chris Franklin. That's what he said. I don't know how. How's he getting on the field?
We may see the phantom injury where he's put on IR for a little bit, and then if one of those guys get hurt, oh wow, he's doing better now. But and that's the thing, you can't find a spot for him to play on special teams because he's not really a true core special teams guy. Smith, you didn't bring him in if anything, if there's any chance, I think that Ojulari plays this week a little bit more so you can ramp up Smith to make sure he's in real true football shape and ready to go. That's the only thing I can see. Like, you wait for him to ramp up and maybe Ojulari gets a snap here or there, but I feel an injury coming up.
The dreaded high ankle sprain that happens in practice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that happening. Well, they got to pay him that $3.5 million or whatever it is, so
Yeah.
it would make some sense. Latest move from I want it from two perspectives, Chris. Tank Bigsby is here. Eagles give up a 5th and 6th rounder. They evidently think he's got upside as a kick returner, which are a bigger deal now. I mean, it's like 70%. I think that was the best thing about week 1 in the NFL, Chris. Kick returns are back and they're exciting. And I think it makes the game better and it's more relevant. So I applaud the Eagles for trying to improve in that particular area. But this is like how many trades in August? 6, now September, August, September, 6 or 7, whatever it is. If you go back to Ja'Cory and Bennett, what does that say about the original 90-man roster? And are you happy that Howie's, hey, you know what? All right, maybe that wasn't great, but I'm trying to improve, uncovering every rock I can.
I'm sorry, the second one on that. I think it's a thing of, okay, we made some mistakes here or there, and we have the draft picks. You know, you're not going to use them all next year, no matter what. So you might as well try to fill out spots that you still need. You still have weaknesses at, and you still think are areas that you can upgrade at. So you try to trade for players that you think is going to happen before it gets more expensive, right before the trade deadline, when everybody knows, like, if you're out, they're going to try to set themselves up for next year too. So I got no problem with them doing that, but I think it shows that maybe there's more confidence in certain positions than what warranted what we've seen so far through preseason and first week of training camp. After Tank Bigsby, I know. Listen, I know I'll start with the kick return part first. Yeah, it's very important. The Eagles finished, if you want to say, like 21st, 22nd after week 1. Their average thing was like 27.7 yard line, what have you. And the best was 31 because he had some real touchdowns and long returns, what have you. It's important too because I remember the NFL during one of the briefings last year, like it was like 1.7. It increases scoring. So the fact that if you took a normal Eagles drive, it goes 60, 70 yards, what have you. That leads to at least a field goal, put you in field goal range, or having instead of having to worry about, okay, we're punt formation and we're going forward, we're forced to give the other team better field position. Bigsby is legit. I wouldn't put him as Devin Hester, but I think he does better. I think with what they do with that, he gets one hole quick. And I think running backs, that's why you see Shipley back there. And that's why I saw Gainwell the previous year. Running backs, that's perfect. The new kickoff hole is perfect for them because they have that patience. They can see hole quickly, put one foot in and drive it up the field. I think that's what Bigsby does well in that part of the game. And it should help out increase the scoring, even if it's for a field goal, even those close games, because I don't think the Eagles are going to blow out as many teams as they did last year with that schedule. So every little bit you can do in field position and scoring helps, and I think it'll help with that. I still think there's more to this. I'm worried about Will Shipley. I know you say he's still like he's not there to replace him. The rib injury, not having him there, or something. You give
Well,
him
I'm worried
6.
about the durability with Will. And, he got hurt pretty early. Who knows? He might have to miss a game or two. I'm worried about that part, but boy, he's a good receiver, Chris. I don't know if they're going to utilize that. They're not. They're not a high volume passing team to begin with. They don't throw the running backs that often. So I don't know how helpful that's going to be, but boy, man, if people were on a different team that dumped the ball off to their backs, he'd be one of those guys that catches 60, 70, 80 balls. But
He's the
I don't know
perfect
if
Carolina
that
Panther.
works here.
He's definitely the perfect Carolina Panthers type guy. Like, because normally, I mean, you see the blitz. Okay, Bryce is going to start scrambling around. I don't know what to do. Just hawk it out
He's
to
off, right?
over there to Shipley. He runs that way too. Perfect for them. But even when it's like here, especially with the way if the Cowboys set out the blueprint how to defend the Eagles, especially if you're going to get pressure up front, you play you too deep and you need to get the ball quickly. You do that in the intermediate game. I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple more. Like that's like we saw a little bit with Gabe Barkley getting a few throws that way, and even Shipley too. I think on that front, I wouldn't be surprised to see an uptick as compared to last year. It's not a running back centric passing game to begin with, but I think there's a little uptick. You'll see as the season goes on, maybe a little uptick in the running back percent.
It's going to be interesting, Chris. I think he could be here for more than just kick returns, but I understand that they like Will Shipley. But we'll see how they end up using Tank Bigsby. How big is the acquisition of Zadarius Smith? I know John asked you if he's the best one, but does he do enough for that defense for you to feel good about that edge rushing position now? I mean, I like Zadarius, 33 though, so you're kind of at that age where you have to see how he manages it. What'd you think of the addition of Zadarius Smith?
I think it upgrades it a lot because I think that room was really young to begin with, and to have him in there. When you lost Brady Graham, I know he could float in the building whenever he wants to help out those guys there. We saw him on the sideline on Thursday night, but to have a guy who's still playing as well in those meeting rooms, showing the counters what has worked for him, I think it's still big because these guys are still young, learning. They're still very young, and with his performance by itself, he's gotten production. That's the key thing you mentioned earlier when you talked about hurries are they're nice. They speed up the clock inside the quarterback's head to get the ball out of his hand. But you need you need a closer. You need a finisher to hit some that to affect the quarterback. 'Cause that's when you really start doing hits and sacks. You start really getting in their minds like quarterbacks. Let me get ahead. Where's the flag? You see him looking out. What are you going to do? You need stuff like guys like that to affect the game that way. And you just didn't see as much of it in the week one and prolonged in the preseason too. So yeah, I think that it was a necessary acquisition. That's a necessary signing. I like it. It's a matter of can he have the right impact and do better than he did in Detroit. I know he had 9.5 sacks last year, but I want to see him continue that. And I think he will be that as part of this rotation. If Jaylen Carter's on the field with all the other guys.
Yeah, right. I think they're all going to get better once Carter comes back, obviously.
Yeah, I think Zadarius might help a lot, at least early. Then he tends to wear down a little bit at this age, but he can still get home, and I think people are going to be excited, especially when he gets on the field for the first time, because he's going to look different than what's here right now. So I think that's going to be a very positive move. I feel like we always have this question, Chris, but we got to get into it. And Nick gave a 15-minute answer that I got shit for yesterday, but AJ didn't get the ball. Devontae didn't get the ball. Yet I came out of that game saying Jalen Hurts played very, very well. Do we just have to accept that the Eagles are a very unique, unconventional team?
I'm from the school of if you move the ball forward, it's a positive thing. And then you can't become one dimensional. And I don't think they were. I think they traded concerted effort in order to try to get the ball into there. Sometimes it's getting, I know it's like saying the curse word in Philadelphia. You got to give the Cowboys defense some credit as well too. Because you look at least with the AJ Brown stuff, the way that Trayvon Diggs, like he's still a decent player. You look at I think AJ's still hampered with a hamstring. And then also over the fact that you look schematically, they were rolling over a safety or rolling the coverage over his way a few times. So, and Hurts was looking that way.
Yeah, he was definitely looking to get him the ball.
Especially that second, it seemed like the late second quarter, and that is like, oh, okay, all right, cool. And then he tried to look that way too. I don't think it's anything to worry about. I mean, it's going to be ebbs and flows. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like the Chiefs try to really, like Spagnuolo, really try to go out and not stop the run as much as they did in the Super Bowl. And all of a sudden we see we're like, why do they run the ball so much? And why this one? This is the second week in a row. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens this week. So eventually they're going to get theirs. It's going to even out. Those all passes, the way that offenses, I'd rather have Hurts find Goddard in the middle field and take what the defense gives them and keep moving that ball forward as opposed to trying to, okay, I have to force it in here over the middle. Next thing you know, the opposing team's running the other way, and it just you lose turnover battle, what have you, and it gets rough. So I don't think it's anything to worry about yet. Like I said, I won't be surprised if we see it again this week. So it's just how the way it operates. As long as it gets points on the board and continues to put pressure on the other team to have to respond and force them to make mistakes, stay away.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out with that. Chris, what were your thoughts on AJ? One target. Obviously, a lot of news in the media, a lot of talk in the media about that. Did you think that was a big problem? What'd you make of Kevin Petula's debut?
I saw with the AJ stuff. I think he's still affected by that injury a little bit, and then missing time. He just has to ramp up a little more. We all know There's no question about the way that he works. We all know he works in the off season. We all see everything. We know he works hard enough. I just think there were some lingering effects. He'll be better this week, and he'll go on from there. And the fact that I don't think he's making a big deal out of it. Of course, he's going to go. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to Aaron Moore and goes, "Hey, listen, we want the ball a little more. Hey, we haven't gotten this," and they're making him aware about it. But it wasn't to the point where you saw like Tyreek Hill going melting down to the sidelines we saw on Sunday.
Yeah. Wow.
In terms of Patullo, I look at him and I'm like, I thought that was a decent debut for him. Would I like to see more adjustments after the lightning delay? Yeah, I think that just killed the flow of the whole entire the way he was. You can see that flow in that feeling you get with the play calling thing where you look like, okay, this is setting up this, and then that lightning delay stopped and it's like, okay, he broke it off. He wasn't able to get that same magic again. I like the way that they game planned around him. I like the way they attacked it that way. I just want to see. The thing I'm going to look for and continue to look for is how can he do when other teams make adjustments to the initial game plan, and that comes with time of being a play caller. It comes with how quick you can do that and on the fly because you're the one holding the play call sheet. You're the one that has to do the menu, getting all this information from the ear. They'll tell you, hey, they're playing more zone. So imagine how you use those other plays on the sheet to set up the big plays to get to better scoring opportunities. So that's the thing I'm looking for in terms of a Patillo.
All right, I want to tap into the Chris Franklin panic meter when it comes to Dory Jackson. So one is, he's hitting it, slamming it down. I assume that's a 10 plus. So what's the answer? Is it just Jacorian Bennett? Do you have to bring in Mike Hilton to play slot corner and move Cooper outside? What are you doing? Well, you're Vic Fangio. Put on the Vic Fangio hats. What are you doing to fix this thing?
This is the first time I'm doing a Van Deal impersonation, so I apologize. So if it's really bad, I really apologize to everybody's ears out there. Well, he's a guy. Adori's a guy. Jacorian's a guy. He'll be able to. Yeah, that's horrible. I'll stop it there. But I think when we go to Jacorian Bennett, I think that's the way you have to. I think you just go with him. You brought him in. You gave up a decent pick for him. He has enough time to learn the basics of the system. Put him in there and see what you got. I mean, it's no worse than we're seeing Adoree Jackson out there. There's a reason why the Giants didn't want to resign him. There's a reason why there was a lot of talk in New York last year about addressing the secondary, and he was one of them. I thought he would be a little bit better than what you've seen so far.
By the way, real quick, there's a lot of talk in New York about addressing everything with that disastrous organization. They can't do anything, but I digress. Continue on. Yeah, it's not just Adoree.
Yeah. It was that's stunk, especially with that pet line. Anywho, I look at it. Yeah, there's. Now I've overheard talk where it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, when his pass rush gets going, you don't have to cover as much. I just think you look at the defense. He's the weak link right now, and teams are going. Also, the Cowboys knew that. Sondheimer knew that going in. He's like, "Where's Quinyon Mitchell? Oh, Dory Jackson over there. Okay, this is where we're going. We saw what happened." I was looking to see. I just don't see it. Yeah, he's a veteran presence. Okay, yeah, it helps. You need a veteran guy. Like I mentioned before with some of the pass rushers. Yeah, you need a guy. I just don't. He just looks like a step off from that one. He looks like he's too worried about getting beat deep, which means that underneath stuff is going to be there all the time. He's playing so far off. The Eagles corners play off to begin with because that's what Vic likes when looking at backfield. But he really is leaning on that a lot and then step slower to try to get the drive to get to the receiver. So yeah, I'm at the point where this week you either put Jacorian Bennett there or you put Cooper DeJean out there a lot more than what you did beforehand, even though he does well in the middle of the field. I understand he gives you a lot in that nickel spot, but it comes a thing of survival. You're like, although you look at the Chiefs and you don't know if he got worthy. Hollywood Brown did have a good game.
I think Adoree might look like Patrick Surtain this week.
It's a C guy.
Although Ty Thornton might be able to run past him, so who knows?
They got speed on that. They got speed on the outside, so that's another reason why I'm putting Jacorian Bennett on there, even if Worthy's out. you got Hollywood. He saw the impact he had. And
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Kelsey,
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Forgot about
That's
Hollywood.
about it, though. I mean, Hollywood and Kelsey. I don't even know who else they got.
It's not a lot. Andy's going back to. It seems like Andy's reverted back to his 2003. Like they tried, and he has a type
Well,
of
I
receiver
mean,
he
they'll get
likes.
Rice back at some point. I
Maybe
forget
Tyreek Hill.
how long was his suspension? I forget, but
Is it
it's
6
not going to be
games?
relevant for. Yeah, it's not going to be relevant for the Eagles because I don't think they're making it to the Super Bowl again. Not the Eagles. The Eagles might. I don't think the Chiefs are. How about the NFL as a whole? We got to sit and watch other teams, which doesn't happen often. And certainly Eagles fans don't like to watch other teams, but I assume you got to watch. What are your takeaways? My number one is the kickoff returns. They're relevant now. You better be good at that because it will cost you games, both ends. If you have a good returner, or if you can't cover, it will cost you games this year because it's going to be relevant.
Yep. I thought the kickoff returns were really one. I thought the Packers, even though the Lions don't have the coordinator, I thought the Packers looked for real, especially with
By
their.
the way, is there a bigger downgrade in the NFL than Ben Johnson to whoever's running the offense? Who was that? Johnny Morton? Poor Johnny Morton. Is that who's running the offense?
Although if you ask Bear fans after the second half of last night's game, they're probably like, well, maybe you should take them back because they couldn't move anything. Yeah, it ain't just no answer for them. It's crazy. Yeah, it's really bad. It's real bad. And I think if anything, if it relates back to the Eagles, this is going to be imperative they would get as many wins early against some of these tougher teams before those teams really start to lock in to get that 1 seed. Because I think even though they won it last year with the 2, the Packers and Lambeau, it's something about them. Unless your name Mike Vick, you go up there and you really beat them up and there. There's something about them where they may be tougher.
I've said that, but I want to make a quick correct because Johnny Morton was a hell of a receiver back in his day. I don't know if you remember. That's not who I'm talking about. John Morton. So I don't want to conflate him with Johnny. This Johnny will get some shit, but John Morton is the offensive coordinator. I don't think there's a bigger downgrade in the NFL than that, but I'm with you with the Packers. The Packers, and I said it, and obviously Eagles fans are up. So now I'm a Packers fan, evidently. They're a freaking problem, Chris Franklin. Jerry Jones screwed everybody with that.
And the only thing I'm curious about, like I heard some things about the framework of a potential deal involving what the Eagles are offering. I don't know the player, but I'm curious as to what player was going to be thrown in. Because if it was the 2, the 1s, the 3, and the 5, they were saying the Cowboys saying they wanted a player. They were never going to trade him to within the division. But the Cowboys said they wanted a player, and I wonder who that player was. And that's to me the
A
point.
lot of people talk about Jordan Davis because but Jerry's spin after. I think you have to ignore Jerry's spin after, which was we needed a run defender. I don't. And by the way, I don't think if the Eagles are giving up 2 1s, a 3, and a 5, I don't think they're giving up Jordan Davis on top of that. So I'm thinking more of a more of a Byron Young type maybe, or maybe somebody with upside. Alex Hunt, somebody like that would be my guess. But I don't think you have to give Jordan Davis if you're given that much in draft capital. But that's just and by the way, it's all meaningless because it was one-sided. The Eagles were trying and they weren't listening.
Yeah. I want to go out with you. Nah, you're not my type.
Yeah,
but I am. I have everything you want. Nah, not happening. Yeah.
Most exciting, Chris Franklin. I'll leave it here with you. My last question. The Eagles brought in a bunch of players yesterday to work out. It's that time of year. You bring in players to, build up dossiers, personnel dossiers in case of injury, that type of thing. But a lot of big names, relatively speaking, for guys on the street. You got Jamin Davis, who's a first-round pick in Washington, I think 21, 22. Isaiah Bosky was here, second-round pick from New Orleans. Quez Watkins was here. KJ Osborne was here. And then some Mike Hilton got the most hype because everybody thinks the Eagles need help at corner. And then he had a couple offensive linemen. Ladarius Henderson, Kadeem Telfort. Who gets excited? Who do you want if that's your group?
I know they're extremely deep at this position already. But for me, the Jamin Davis one intrigued me. That was the one that intrigued me a lot. I still like his skill set, but I think there's still something there with him that you can utilize. I think it was more of a fact finding mission. The two things I was thinking about that was either they're going to try to use one of them on the edge, one to try to generate more pass rush, so they need another guy to do that, or they're trying to look for a future. If say one of these linebackers go down, they know they can call them, they see what they want. The Quez stuff, I think it was more of a let's see if he can still return and do that return stuff, not necessarily be that receiver.
Never returned when he was here. He was
Yeah.
the worst returner they've ever had. At least kickoff return. Well, to be a kickoff returner, you got to break that first tackle. Like Quez wasn't great at breaking tackles. Obviously, he's got great long speed. But yeah, it was interesting. I think it's more about injuries when you talk about those guys. Osborne, Watkins, Davis. It's more about injuries. Hilton was intriguing because you could play him inside and move Cooper outside. Maybe that happens. And then Bosky's very young, so evidently did nothing in New Orleans, but he's still young enough to maybe if he gets in a better situation. But yeah, I'll tell you what it tells you, though, and we talked about this earlier. Make sure you follow Chris at C. Franklin News on the X platform. Read him at nj.com. This 90-man roster wasn't as good as we thought it was because they're just churning people on the back end.
And they do it's just a little bit. It's a little bit of that, but also it's a little bit depending. They bring some of these guys on depending on who they're playing that week too. So if there's a team that's like, all right, maybe they have a little bit faster receivers, maybe they have a little things to kick off returns, what have you. That they do more of the workouts with the punters. We've seen these weird.
I've talked about that with Cubby a lot. This is an example. I'm glad you brought that up, Chris. An example of what the Eagles do really well. Anytime they face a left-footed punter, they bring in a left-footed punter to work out just to get some looks for their returners because it comes off the foot weird. That's the little shit the Eagles do that nobody else does. I can't say nobody, but very few. Every single time they bring in a left-footed punter.
They turned their practice squad a lot last year too, depending on the thing. Because you saw it was funny because we used to go in. It was like,
every week.
Hey, what's up?
We saw that. Yeah, there's sometimes they're in the locker room before they announce them. You're back. Yeah.
Yeah, they're on a quick call. I think
also to his credit too, he likes to. There's a. And I wish I knew how it worked. If you're on the practice squad a certain day, you get paid that week. So he likes to pay an extra guy. That's part of the way he does it. And that's another, that makes people happy. So it's another little thing they do to sort of increase morale, I would say, to get an extra guy paid. He uses a loophole. And that's why you see so much churn at the back end of the roster. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Little things the Eagles always do. Makes them part of their success, Chris Franklin. And we're part of your success. Thanks for
Chris is part of our success.
You guys helped me out too. So I thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's always fun to come on here. You guys done a lot. It's always fun to interact with the fans of the show and everything else too. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for always having me.
Absolutely. Chris, we love you, brother. We appreciate you for joining in today. As always, I keep telling you, man, when we didn't have you for like 3 weeks, everybody's like on my ass. Where's
everybody's complaining?
He'll be back. I think he took a summer vacation. I think he did. So it's all right, everybody. Relax. So, the people love you here. Chris, we appreciate you, man. We'll talk to you again soon. Looking forward to following along on your coverage as well. So make sure you guys follow that C. Franklin News. Chris, appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Y'all have a good one, man.